This is a story about finding meaning in the darkest moments. It's about the power of hope and the strength of the human spirit when faced with unimaginable suffering. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl is a profound exploration of the human capacity to endure hardship and find purpose even in the most tragic circumstances. At its core, Man's Search for Meaning is a reflection on human resilience and the importance of having a sense of purpose in life. Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, shares his experiences in Nazi concentration camps and how they led him to develop logotherapy, a psychological approach focused on finding meaning in life. Frankl argues that life's meaning can be found even in the most painful of experiences.
Logotherapy is really healing through meaning, although this, of course, is an oversimplification.
And that by finding purpose, we can endure suffering. His insights offer profound wisdom for anyone facing adversity or searching for greater meaning in their life. The book is divided into two parts. The first describes Frankl's time in the concentration camps, and the second explains logotherapy, the psychological theory he developed to help people find meaning. What does meaning look like in your life, and how do you find it? Let us know in the comments. Frankl's time in the concentration camps. Viktor Frankl's account of his time in Nazi concentration camps is at the heart of man's search for meaning.
In the final analysis was those who were oriented toward a meaning to be fulfilled by them in the future were most likely to survive.
He survived years in Auschwitz and other camps, enduring unimaginable physical and emotional suffering. Yet, despite the horrors he witnessed and endured, Frankl managed to find meaning and purpose, even in the most desperate circumstances. One of the most powerful themes in Frankl's story is the idea that suffering is an inevitable part of life. But it is not the suffering itself that defines us. It is how we respond to it. Frankl discovered that those who were able to find meaning, even in their suffering, were more likely to survive. Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how, Frankl writes, emphasizing that having a purpose can give us the strength to endure even the worst situations. In the concentration camps, Frankl observed that prisoners who had a sense of meaning, whether through love, faith, or a sense of purpose, were better able to cope with the brutal conditions. He also noticed that the prisoners who lost all sense of purpose often gave up on life and did not survive. This insight into human behavior forms the foundation of Frankl's theory of logotherapy, the importance of meaning. Frankl argues that the search for meaning is the primary drive in human life, not pleasure or power, as other psychologists like Freud and Adler suggested. According to Frankl, the will to find meaning is what motivates us, and it can help us overcome the hardships and tragedies we encounter. He explains that meaning is not something that can be given to us externally. It is something that each person must discover for themselves. Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose, Frankl writes, emphasizing that how we interpret our experiences is what determines their impact on us. For Frankl, meaning can be found in many aspects of life, through work, relationships, suffering, and personal growth. He suggests that even in suffering, we have the ability to choose how we respond. Even in the most tragic circumstances, one can find meaning, he argues, asserting that it's not the pain that is unbearable, but the inability to find meaning in it. Logotherapy, finding meaning in life. Frankl developed logotherapy as a way to help people find meaning in their lives, particularly those who are suffering or feel hopeless. Logotherapy is based on the belief that the search for meaning is the central motivational force in human beings. One of the key tenets of logotherapy is that meaning can be found in three main ways. 1. Through work or accomplishment, contributing to something greater than oneself or creating something of value. 2. Through love and relationships, giving and receiving love, connecting with others and finding meaning through human interaction. 3. Through suffering. When faced with unavoidable suffering, we can find meaning by how we respond to it. Even in the most painful situations, we can choose our attitude and find purpose. Frankl argues that when people fail to find meaning in their lives, they may fall into what he calls existential frustration, which can lead to a sense of emptiness and despair. Logotherapy seeks to help individuals confront this frustration and find a deeper sense of purpose. The role of suffering.
Is to say a human being is never fully free from conditions, be they of biological or psychological or sociological kind.
One of the most profound aspects of man's search for meaning is Frankl's perspective on suffering. He doesn't deny that suffering is painful and difficult, but he believes that we can find meaning in our suffering, which can give us the strength to endure it. Frankl suggests that suffering is an inevitable part of life, but it doesn't have to be meaningless. He uses his own experiences in the concentration camps as an example of how we can find purpose even in the most horrific circumstances. He writes about the way some prisoners who endured extreme suffering were able to find meaning through the love of their families or a sense of duty to others. Suffering is an ineradicable part of life, even as fate and death, Frankl writes. But he also suggests that the way we face suffering can transform it into a source of meaning. When we choose to find meaning in suffering, we regain a sense of control over our lives. For Frankl, suffering without meaning can lead to despair and hopelessness. But suffering that is understood and accepted as part of life can become a source of strength and personal growth. The search for purpose in the modern world. Frankl's ideas about meaning and suffering are as relevant today as they were when he first developed them. In a world that often seems increasingly disconnected and driven by materialism, many people feel a deep sense of emptiness and a lack of purpose. Frankl's message is clear. Finding meaning is essential to living a fulfilled and resilient life. He writes that people in the modern world often struggle with existential questions. Who am I? Why am I here? And what is the purpose of my life? According to Frankl, the search for meaning is not just a philosophical pursuit, but a practical one. What is to give light must endure burning, he says, highlighting the personal effort required to find purpose and meaning in life. Frankl emphasizes that even in our modern consumer-driven world, we have the ability to create meaning in our lives. He urges us to focus on relationships, our work, and our ability to rise above suffering to find purpose in the midst of adversity. Legacy of man's search for meaning.
Whatever conditions might confront us, how we react to the unchangeable conditions is up to ourselves. In other words, if we cannot change the situation, we have always the last freedom to change our attitude to that situation.
Since its publication, man's search for meaning has become a classic in the field of psychology, self-help, and philosophy. Frankl's message resonates with anyone who has ever faced hardship or felt lost in the search for purpose. His emphasis on personal responsibility and the power of choice in finding meaning has helped millions of people cope with suffering and navigate life's challenges. Frankl's legacy continues to inspire people to live lives of purpose, to find meaning in the midst of pain, and to take responsibility for their happiness and fulfillment. His work has influenced not only psychology, but also philosophy, theology, and the personal development field. Finding meaning in every moment. Man's Search for Meaning is not just a book about survival. It's about the deeper quest for significance in life. Through his personal story of suffering and his development of logotherapy, Frankl offers us profound wisdom on how to live meaningful lives, no matter the circumstances. Frankl teaches us that meaning isn't something that can be handed to us. It's something we must find, create, and choose every day. Whether through our work, relationships, or our response to suffering, we all have the ability to find purpose in our lives.
Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose,
Frankl writes. This powerful reminder urges us to search for meaning in every aspect of our lives, so we can face life's challenges with strength, resilience, and hope. What lesson from man's search for meaning do you find most inspiring? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more insightful discussions.